Hey folks, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And huge news that apparently came out a couple days on the 4th that just now finding out from the Associated Press. Judge limits Biden administration working with social media companies. Now, this is huge because ever since COVID, everyone knows that big tech and the federal government, if you paid any attention, has been censoring what you can say or what you can talk about or what's allowed in any way, shape, or form. And this is an official ruling after two states, Louisiana and Missouri, brought a case against the federal government for censorship, that we've actually seen something, or at least I've seen something officially basically pointed out. Now, this is only an injunction, and I'm going to leave a link to both the actual injunction itself and the full order from the judge. So you will be able to find that in the description below. So before we get into this story, folks, if you enjoy my content, please leave a like. I really appreciate it. It helps grow the channel immensely. And let's jump in. All right, so let's check this out. A judge on Tuesday prohibited several federal agencies and officials of the Biden administration from working with social media companies about protected speech, a decision called a blow to censorship by one of the Republican officials whose lawsuit prompted the ruling. U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty of Louisiana granted the injunction in response to a 2022 lawsuit brought by attorneys generals in Louisiana and Missouri. The lawsuit alleged that the federal government overstepped in its efforts to convince social media companies to address postings that could result in vaccine hesitancy during the COVID-19 pandemic or affect elections. Everybody knew it. I mean, everybody was stuck in their homes. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't do anything. You were glued to whatever screen you were looking at. And I mean, everybody was getting canceled all over the place. Oh, you're a vaccine. Wasn't it interesting how Democrats were against the vaccine while Trump was in office? And then all of a sudden when he's gone and they get in, oh, yes, vaccines are great. And you can't say anything bad about it. Never mind the ties that all sorts of these people have to Pfizer. Doughty cited substantial evidence of a far-reaching censorship campaign. He wrote that the evidence produced thus far depicts an almost dystopian scenario during the COVID-19 pandemic, a period perhaps best characterized by widespread doubt and uncertainty. The United States government seems to have assumed a role similar to an Orwellian Ministry of Truth. Now, in the middle of all that, I mean, didn't they actually try to have their own little ministry of disinformation or whatever? And that lasted like a week because it was an absolute joke. I mean, they literally even tried to do something like that. I mean, in 1984 is the blueprint these people are using. Republican U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt, Missouri Attorney General, when the lawsuit was filed, said on Twitter that the ruling was a huge win for the First Amendment and a blow to censorship. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry said the injunction prevents the administration from censoring the core political speech of ordinary Americans on social media. The evidence in our case is shocking and offensive, with senior federal officials deciding that they could dictate what Americans can and cannot say on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms about COVID-19, elections, criticism of the government, and more, Landry said in a statement. Oh yeah, it was widespread. I mean, all sorts of people's stuff were getting taken down. And now that we've got the Twitter files, we know that they were colluding just from that. But these people, I mean, this case had evidence even before the Twitter files came out. Now that's only more fuel on the fire that just proves exactly what all of us already have been saying for years now. The Justice Department is reviewing the injunction and will evaluate its options in this case, said a White House official who was not authorized to discuss the case publicly and spoke on condition of anonymity. The administration has promoted responsible actions to protect public health, safety, and security when confronted by challenges like a deadly pandemic and foreign attacks on our elections, the official said. Our consistent view remains that social media platforms have a critical responsibility to take account of the effects their platforms are having on the American people, but make independent choices about the information they present. Okay, let's think about this. Before we had social media and the digital age and all that, what if I were to say, okay, only people can address a crowd if they stand on this box. And only I get to choose who's allowed to stand on this box because I'm trying to protect people from misinformation and lies. So I have to be the one to make sure that none of that gets up on this box and can yell out to the crowd all their lies and disinformation. That's exactly what that would be like pre-digital age. But it's the same thing. All you're doing is acting as the middleman for someone else, but then you have all the power. And that's the thing. You have all the control and all the power when you do that, and you take that away, which is exactly the whole point. The ruling listed several government agencies, including the Department of Health and Human Services and the FBI, that are prohibited by the injunction from discussions with social media companies aimed at encouraging, pressuring, or inducing in any manner the removal, deletion, suppression, or reduction of content containing protected free speech. I think it's funny, though, that they want to talk about misinformation so much and we want to protect and all this stuff. But yet, even after certain information about a certain medical treatment that we've known for a couple years now has come out that doesn't work the way that it was supposed to work, and that they didn't test it, and we all know that they basically concocted this up and people are suffering consequences from that, but they still wanted to promote that in advertisements on YouTube and on radio and all over, but pushing that is okay. Funny. The order mentions by several officials, including Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and others. Doughty allowed several exemptions, such as informing social media companies of postings involving criminal activity and conspiracies, as well as notifying social media firms of national security threats and other threats posted on platforms. The plaintiffs in the lawsuit also included individuals, including conservative website owner Jim Hoft. The lawsuit accused the administration of using the possibility of favorable or unfavorable regulatory action to coerce social media platforms to squelch what it considered misinformation on masks and vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic. It also touched on other topics, including claims about election integrity and news stories about material on a laptop owned by Hunter Biden, the president's son. Like, we all know it. We've all seen it for years now. Ever since Trump got into office, we know the lies. We know what they've cooked up. Now we know they've been talking the entire time. And now we know that there is so much evidence, and they keep trying to pretend like none of it's true because more and more keeps coming out, like certain whistleblowers that just came out from the IRS. And apparently there's a guy on the run who has information about the Bidens. Like, all of this is starting to unravel, and boy, all they can do is try to ignore it. Administration lawyers said the government left it up to social media companies to decide what constituted misinformation and how to combat it. In one brief, they likened the lawsuit to an attempt to put a legal gag order on the federal government and suppress the speech of federal government officials under the guise of protecting the speech rights of others. Oh my God, that is insane. Plaintiffs' proposed injunction would significantly hinder the federal government's ability to combat foreign malign influence, campaigns, prosecute crimes, protect the national security, and provide accurate information on the public on matters of grave public concern such as healthcare and election integrity, the administration says in a May 3rd court filing. What an absolute joke. Like, all they can do is pretend like they're the ones actually doing those things instead of the people on the other side of the aisle who claim that you're the one doing all of the bad things that we now know that you're doing. Like, we literally know it, and you keep trying to pretend like we don't. But hey, every day, more and more stuff's coming out. Now, this is only an injunction. The lawsuit is still moving forward, but the reason the injunction happened is because of the overwhelming amount of evidence. The judge decided to put an injunction in there because he thinks the case is probably going to win on its merit anyhow. So this is a great sign for everyday or ordinary people, protecting free speech. And hey, it just points out how devious and evil these people really are. And they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep fighting. But you know what, folks, we have to do the same thing. We have to keep calling them out. We have to keep pointing them out. We have to keep trying to get other people aware of what these people in the federal government are actually doing, because it is sinister, it is dangerous, it is Orwellian, and they are the only ones to benefit, and none of us are to gain at all by it. So folks, with that, I'm going to wish you a good day. Hey, if you like my content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the video. I really appreciate all the support, folks. And take care of your friends, take care of your families. I will try to bring you some new stuff as soon as I can. And with that said, take care, and I will see you later.